Okay, Assalamu alaikum, good morning and good afternoon to everyone. I think this timing is the most suitable timing, I believe. The number of students which are present today, mashallah, they're the highest as compared to previous live classes. I don't know what was the time previously. Okay, today's class is going to be really, really important. We will be discussing first relating to the result, why some of the student they just managed to pass and some of the student they failed. I'll be discussing that in a proper detail, inshallah, and some other very key stuff. But before I start the class, I really want to know how many lectures each one of you have seen. Can you quickly respond basically in your in the chat box? Even though we do have your report, okay, that's great. Nice, 77 is nice, mashallah. That is also a good number. 68 is a good number. Complete the whole. Oh, excellent, excellent. That is very nice to see that, mashallah. Just a minute. So that is quite encouraging for me that you have seen number of lectures, mashallah. So now let us first discuss what are the reasons for the failure and the success in ATX. Then we'll move on to our class. ATX September 23. Now let's talk about the result of ATX. Now, first thing, and that is very good and very, I would say, motivating for everyone, teacher as well as the student. Out of four professional papers, the highest passing rate is the paper which has is ATX. And it is more, I would say, encouraging and motivating that it keeps increasing. Previously 42, then 45, now it is 48, which is a really good sign. The second highest passing rate is with AFM, that is 45%. The rest of the two, that is AAA and APM, passing rate, both of them are having 34%. So clearly you can see that the highest passing rate, ATX 48, AFM is 45. Alhamdulillah, I'm teaching both of them. I'm also very happy. Okay, so since ATX is having a really good passing rate, now the question arises, what are the things, what are the reasons why some of the students they fail? And obviously there are a number of students, there's a large number of students, they easily pass the paper. So what is the recipe of clearing this paper in the first attempt? Look at this. Number one, step one. Step one is complete all lectures, 100% lectures, ASAP. Actually, try to complete the lectures as soon as possible. Because the sooner you will be, earlier you will be able to complete the lectures, you will be having more time to practice. Okay. When I'm saying complete all lectures as soon as possible, I'm talking about the regular plus the practice questions. All, like either they are 101 or 107 lectures, means I'm talking about the all lectures. Obviously, those students, if let's say there are students, if they are struggling to complete the lectures, that is going to be one of the biggest causes of failure. Because if someone is struggling to complete the lectures, then obviously to pass this paper, it becomes very difficult. So step one, the recipe point one is complete the lectures as soon as possible. And the good thing about our lecture is, obviously you people have seen number of lectures. Look at the time period. The time period is just on average, I would say it is 40 to 45 minutes. each lecture is just on average, either it is 40 minutes long or 45. This is the average. So the time period of each lecture is, I would say, very moderate. It's not very long. It's not very short. So see, the videos are not 3 hours long. They're not 4 hours long. They're not even 2 hours long. So that should motivate you, seriously. Then you just need to spend 40 to 45 minutes to just watch one lecture. Step 2. Now, what is this step 2? Step 2 is, please, you need to attempt all 13 tests. And we will properly starting the test from the coming Sunday. Not today, from the coming Sunday, inshallah. And can anyone tell us the date? What will be the date? I think that is going to be 28th of October. Am I right? Or 29th of October, I think 29th. So the coming Sunday is going to be, I think, 29th of October. Yes. So please, the step 2 is attempt all 13 tests. Now listen, seriously, those students in the previous session, with the honesty they have attempted all 13 tests, they have easily managed to pass the paper. So if an institute is giving you the opportunity to attempt the test, you should grab this opportunity with both the hands. Please attempt all the tests with the honesty. Honesty means in a time-bound condition. Time-bound means a very simple formula that for 1 mark, you have 1.8 minutes. 1 mark, you have 1.8 minutes. Third is extremely important, is live revision classes. I would say must attend the live revision classes. And from coming Sunday, obviously we will also increase the time also. From coming Sunday, the live revision class will be around 2 hours. So try to attend the live revision classes, because attending the live revision classes, it's extremely important. Obviously, those students, they do not attend the live revision classes, and also they don't see the recording also. That is another one of the causes of failure. And it can be one of the, I would say, step towards passing this paper. If you are attending the live revision class, if due to any reason you are unable to attend the live revision class, then I would say then you should watch the recording. And the good thing is we are uploading the recording on the same day. So after just I complete this session, so I think within next 2 to 3 hours, the lecture will be uploaded. So step 3 is live revision classes. 4th, dear student, the 4th one is mock. You have to give the mock, you have to. In a, again, time-bound condition, because in mock, we give you strictly 3 hours and 15 minutes. Within 3 hours and 15 minutes, you have to attempt the mock and submit to me. When you are attempting the mock within 3 hours and 15 minutes and you are submitting to us, then you will get my personal feedback, where you are right, where you are wrong. Each and every feedback you will be getting it. But obviously those students, they don't take mock seriously, then it is also one of the causes of failure. And the same thing can be the reason of passing if you attempt the mock seriously. In a time-bound condition, within 3 hours and 15 minutes, you need to attempt the mock and submit to us. Step 5, I would say must watch smart revision lectures at least twice. Why twice? There's a reason. Why twice? Why 2 times? There's a reason. Actually, the entire ATX in a smart revision gets completed within 24 lectures. There are just 24 lectures in a smart revision, and where the average time period is only between 20 to 25 minutes. Look at the time period. So even I would say by spending less than 12 hours, within even 10 hours, you can revise the entire ATX. So you should not be watching the smart revision once. You should go and watch this smart revision at least twice. 6, step 6, you should be able to get 20 professional marks. Those students, they have seen practice videos in most of the practice videos. I have properly covered the discussion on the 20 professional marks. So you should be able to get these 20 professional marks. 7, you should be really good getting 5 marks on ethics. There are just 2 to 3 scenarios on which normally the ethics question comes. So these are the 7 steps actually to pass ATX. Step 1, complete the lectures as soon as possible. Attempt all 13 tests, okay, in a time-bound condition, live revision classes, mock, must watch smart revision lectures at least twice, because the smart revision, there are just 24 lectures and one lecture is just 20 to 25 minutes long. You should be able to get 20 professional marks. You should be really, really good in getting 5 ethics marks on ethics. Another point, please, it's a request, try to attempt the paper 100%. Attempt the paper 100%. Sometimes what happens that in exam, you face a situation that either you are right or wrong, no matter whatever. Leave this, don't think right or wrong. Even you are shaky, you are not confident, but still attempt that part as well. There's no negative marking. So I have seen number of students attempting the 100% paper and managing to get more than 50% marks. And to be very honest, I think the day before yesterday or either yesterday, I had a conversation with one of the students. He attempted only 60 to 65% of the paper and he took 45 marks. So it means if he would have managed, let's say, to pass the paper by attempting the 100% paper in his examination hall. So try to attempt 100% paper, 100%. So basically, these are the steps. If you are following all these steps, you will pass the paper, inshallah, in first attempt. But obviously, in out of these all 8, if you're not going through all 8 steps properly, then obviously that results will, sorry to say, then result goes in an unfavorable state. So all you need is follow these steps. Now, let me tell you one thing. See, today is 22nd of October. The one thing is, to be very honest, those students, they have not yet started preparing themselves seriously for the exam. Still, you have enough time to pass the paper. Why I'm saying you still have enough time to pass the paper? Because our lectures are not very long. Please try to understand. Lectures are not 3 hours long. Lectures are just 40 to 45 minutes long. So you still have a time to complete the lectures. You still have a time to pass the papers. All you need is, if you're working, obviously majority of the students, they are working students. On working days, please try to manage and give 2 hours to ATX. But on Saturday, Sunday, if you are having holidays, and some of the students, they are having holidays on, let's say, Friday and Saturday, then you have to give obviously more time on Saturday, Sundays, or let's say Friday, Saturday. But to be very honest, still there is good enough time to pass the paper. And if towards the exam, if you can manage to get few holidays, even it's just a 1 week holiday, that's going to be really good. If someone can manage to get 10 days holidays, then obviously it's awesome. If I go just 2 sessions back, there was one student with me, to be very honest, he had only 10 days, but he took off from his office. But entire 10 days with the 100%, I would say, dedication, he studied each and everything. He managed to get really, really good marks. Somewhere close to 80 marks he got just in 10 days. So the point is, you just need to become a serious. So you have enough time to pass the paper. enough time. So you should not be worried about it at all. You just need to go through all these lectures, each and everything. If someone does not have the time, you don't want to attempt all 13 tests, at least out of 13, try to attempt 5 to 6 tests. And from 29th of October, we will start discussing tests, each and everything. So this is the recipe of passing, and someone is not following that, obviously not following this recipe properly, then result will not be in the favor, I'm sorry to say. So it is highly important to follow all these things to pass in order to pass the paper. So now let me share the question which we are going to discuss today. Share just a minute. I just want every one of you just to read this question once, then we are discussing. Inshallah, from coming Sunday, which is 29th of October, we will start our tests. But I really want every one of you, please try to complete the lectures as soon as possible. The earlier, the better. Simple formula is this: the earlier, the better. The earlier, the better. Now let's see what they are saying. And from coming Sunday, the timing of live revision class will be a little bit long. At least it will go somewhere around 2 hours. Live revision class, inshallah. In part A, they are saying calculate Stella's income after tax and pension contribution for the tax year 23-24. If she does pay 90,000 gross into her personal pension scheme, 10 marks. They are saying calculate Stella's income, but after tax and pension contribution. After tax and pension contribution, and just let me tell you one more thing. See, the highest passing rate which ATX is having, it is 48%. We are, alhamdulillah, managing approximately 80% passing rate. But this 80% is only possible when you follow all the steps which I have just mentioned. Then you can fall in this 80%. But even you are falling in this 48%, still very good. But make sure at least you fall at least any one of them. Calculate Stella's income after tax and pension contribution for the tax year 23-24. If she does pay 90,000 gross into her personal pension scheme, 10 marks. B1, explain how an amount withdrawn by Morris lump sum, they're just saying lump sum, from her pension may be taxed. So you just need to discuss the lump sum amount, nothing else. They're saying explain how an amount withdrawn by Morris as lump sum. We know that when someone reaches the pension age, which is 55, then you can take lump sum tax exempt amount is 25% lower of. Number one is fund available, and the second is lifetime allowance limit. And the lifetime allowance limit is 1,073,100, and that limit is also given to you in exam. So whichever is lower, one is the fund available, second is the lifetime allowance limit. 25% of that amount is simply 25% of that amount is simply tax exempt. Obviously, when the remaining 75% someone is going to withdraw, that is treated as pension income, non-saving income. Then applicable tax rates are going to be, depends on the individual's tax paying status. It could be 20, 40 or 45%. Then another point, if someone takes, if for example, available funds, if they are more than the lifetime allowance, and someone is taking the entire amount lump sum, then applicable tax rate is 55%. You just need to discuss these things, that's it. Advise Morris two relevant exemption from inheritance tax, which she will be able to use when making the birthday gift. So it's very simple. If you have seen all inheritance tax lectures, you should be able to do it. You should be able to get 6 marks out of 6. The one exemption is small gift exemption. And a small gift exemption is when you are giving gift, but should not be exceeding £250. When you are giving gift to one individual, one recipient, it is not exceeding £250, it is exempt. No, actually, that is not possible. It is for both the groups, it's not only for one group. So small gift exemption, a small gift exemption. So one you need to discuss is a small gift exemption. A small gift exemption means when gift to the one recipient should not exceed 250, then it is exempt. Second exemption is the normal expenditure out of income. Normal expenditure out of income. Normal expenditure out of income. For example, when parents are paying their children school fee, obviously that is exempt from IST because such expenditure will not reduce their living standard. So when someone is incurring normal expenditure out of income and that expenditure is not reducing the living standard of the donor, then this is also exempt. So you just need to discuss these two exemptions to get 6 marks. Now let's read the question. You should assume that today's date is 1st June 2023. I think there is no harm in assuming that today's date is June 2023. Okay. Your firm has been asked to provide. The lectures are available in both, okay, Urdu and English both. The regular courses are available in both, but the live revision classes, they are in English because they are for everyone. Your firm has been asked to provide advice to 2 unrelated clients. You need to provide advice to 2 unrelated clients. Stella and Morris. Stella requires advice on the tax implication of making an increase contribution to her personal pension scheme. Now stop. Relating to personal pension scheme, everybody, I would say, must know the 3 things. Everybody must know the 3 things. Number 1, in personal pension, whatever you contribute, it is treated as 80%, 20% is paid by HMRC. Second, with the gross amount, basic and high rate band will increase. Third, gross personal pension contribution actually reduces the adjusted net income. And what is the format of adjusted net income? Adjusted net income. You have to take the net income. Then simply deduct gross PPC. We do not deduct gross gifted donation because gross gifted donation is not examinable in ATX. It is examinable in tax, but it is not examinable in ATX. That is why the format is, you can say, a little bit simpler in ATX as compared to tax. So net income less gross PPC, you will get adjusted net income. Now listen, if adjusted net income is less than equal to 100,000, if someone is having adjusted net income less than equal to 100,000, then personal allowance is 12,570. To get the entire personal allowance, adjusted net income must be less than equal to 1 lakh. But if someone is having adjusted net income equal to greater than 1,25,140, then personal allowance becomes 0. So you need to know these things. If someone is having adjusted net income greater than equal to 1,25,140, then personal allowance becomes 0. Morris requires advice regarding lump sum payments she has received from her pension. I have given the advice. We have discussed the advice. Inheritance tax exemption, discussed two things. One was small gift exemption, that giving gift to one recipient should not exceed £250. Second was normal expenditure out of income available on her proposed lifetime gifts. Stella is resident and domicile in the UK. We know that whoever is resident as well as domicile in the UK will have to pay tax on his or her worldwide income. Okay, receives a gross salary of 2,03,000. Wow, look at the salary. In the tax year 23-24, this was substantial increase on the previous tax year. Okay, does not have an occupational pension scheme. There is no occupational pension. Now listen, if an employee is contributing in occupational pension plan, then whatever employee contributes in occupational pension plan, that's such contribution reduces the employment income for the employee. Repeat, when employee contributes into occupational pension plan, then such contribution reduces employment income. But over here, there's no such thing, does not have an occupational pension. Has property income from a portfolio of unfurnished properties totaling 92,000. Great. In the tax year 23-24. Wow. So Stella is really rich, mashallah. Has no other sources of taxable income. Obviously, after having these two income, I think does not need anything else. Wishes to make an increased contribution to her personal pension scheme in the tax year 23-24, and she wants to actually go for 90,000 gross. So in the current tax year, actually, she wants to contribute gross 90,000. Okay. Personal pension scheme contribution. Now, let me tell you relating to few things relating to pension allowance. Look at this. Pension annual allowance. Actually, pension annual allowance limit is 40,000. But if two conditions are met, when two conditions are met, then annual allowance limit of the pension also reduces. Repeat, this limit will reduce when two conditions are met. Number one, threshold income. Threshold income. If the threshold income is more than 200,000 and adjusted income is more than 2,40,000. Adjusted income is more than 2,40,000. If both of these two conditions are met, then what happens? Annual allowance 40,000 limit also reduces. Now the question is, how do we calculate threshold income and adjusted net income? Now listen, the format of the threshold income and adjusted net income is same. Repeat, the format of the adjusted net income and threshold income is same. How do we calculate adjusted income? So threshold income and ANI. Format is same. How do we calculate threshold income? Look at this. Threshold income. Simply you have to take net income. Less gross PPC. If the answer is more than 200,000, it means condition one is met. Second is adjusted income. How do we calculate adjusted income? Adjusted income. We take net income. Then simply we add. Employees contribution. in occupational pension scheme, we simply add. Also add employer's contribution. Employer's contribution in occupational pension scheme as well as personal pension. If the employer is so nice that he is contributing in both the scheme for the employees, then add that. So you will get adjusted income. If this is more than 240, then we will say that condition number 2 is also met. If both the conditions are met, then particular individual will not be getting annual allowance of 40,000, then annual allowance will reduce. And what is the formula? What is the format? Annual allowance is 40. Then simply adjusted income minus 2,40,000 into 50%. And one thing more, we know that annual allowance, the minimum limit of the annual allowance cannot be 0. Personal allowance can be 0, but annual allowance cannot be 0. Annual allowance, the minimum personal allowance, talking about the minimum personal allowance is 4,000. It cannot go below 4. It can be either 4 or higher than 4. It cannot be below 4. No matter whatever you are deducting from 40,000, it cannot be less than 4,000. So annual allowance limit will always be either 4 or more than 4. It cannot go below 4. Even it mathematically it goes below 4, you are not going to write less than 4. So the minimum annual allowance, I'm talking about the minimum annual allowance is 4,000. This is the minimum. So the minimum is 4,000. It cannot be, I would say, less than this. Less than this is not possible. Just a minute. Now listen, if adjusted income is equal to greater than 3,12,000, whoever is having adjusted income, obviously the threshold income must be threshold income is more than 200,000. Threshold income is more than 200,000 and adjusted income is greater than equal to 3,12,000, then annual allowance will be 4,000. So whoever is having threshold income more than 200,000, adjusted income more than equal to 3,12,000 will have annual allowance 4,000. Another thing, annual allowance limit is 40,000. We know that. If someone has contributed less than 40,000, if someone has contributed, let's say less than 40,000, then what happens? If someone has contributed less than 40,000, then unused annual allowance is carried forward for 3 tax years. Repeat, if someone has contributed less than 40,000, then unused annual allowance is carried forward for 3 tax years and utilized on FIFO basis. FIFO say or FIFO, whatever you say. Another point, if someone is, it means if the contribution is less than 40,000, then unused is carried forward for next 3 tax years. And if someone has contributed more than 40,000, see, if someone has contributed more than the available limit of the annual allowance, then excess is treated as annual allowance charge. And on that annual allowance charge, you have to apply tax rate from the non-saving income. And it is, let me repeat, if someone has contributed more than the available annual allowance limit, then such excess contribution is treated as annual allowance charge and applicable tax rates are from non-saving income. So if, at that time, if someone is an additional rate taxpayer, let's say then applicable tax rate is going to be 45%, because you are going to apply the tax rate on annual allowance charge at the end. For example, like in this question, you have employment income, you have property income. First, you need to tax all these incomes. And after that, if the annual allowance charge arises, then annual allowance charge will be taxed at the end of these sources of income. So that was a quick revision of the relevant areas. Okay, Stella has contributed 40,000 gross to her personal pension scheme in each of the tax year 22-23 and 21-22. It means tax year 22-23 and 21-22, we do not have any unused limit. 30,000 gross in each of the tax year 2021. So obviously only 2021, 19-20 is not relevant, because unused can only be carried forward for the 3 tax years. So we can see over here, in the tax year 2021, unused limit is 10,000. Unused limit available is 10,000, because the maximum we can carry forward is only for 3 years, not more than that. So the relevant unused limit for the tax year 23-24 is from 2021, and the amount is only 10,000. The full annual allowance without restriction was available for the tax year 19-20 till 22-23. This is a very good, I would say, very big hint that in the current year, the restriction might apply. And the application of the restriction means this individual will not be getting the entire 40,000 in the current year. Previously, this individual was getting entire 40,000. Stella wishes to make an increased contribution of 90,000 gross in the tax year 23-24. Okay. Morris, leave the Morris part right now. We are just focusing on this. So what we need to calculate? Simply income after tax and pension. Let's apply now. Let us quickly calculate income tax liability. Income tax liability. What was the salary of Stella? The salary of the Stella is 2,03,000 and the property income is 92. Obviously, both the incomes are non-saving incomes. So employment income is 2,03,000. Property income is 92,000. Obviously, if we add both of them, we'll get 2,95,000. That is the net income. Now we need to check if adjusted net income is more than 1,25,140 or even equal to that, then personal allowance becomes 0. Just let me show working one here. Adjusted net income, please do not use these abbreviations. You should write first, at least write complete adjusted net income. After that, you can use the abbreviation. Net income, which is 2,95,000. And she wishes to contribute gross 90,000. So less gross PPC, which is 90. Can I say adjusted net income is more than 1,25,140? So she will get personal allowance 0. She will get personal allowance 0. And one more thing, you can see that threshold income is more than 2 lakh as well, because the format of the adjusted net income and threshold income is same. Let's come to the question. Personal allowance is 0. So the net income becomes actually taxable income. Which is 2,95,000. Now we need to apply the tax rates, but we know that with the gross PPC, basic and high rate band will increase. Yes or no? And let me show you something. The way back you might have seen, definitely you should have seen at least. When we say that basic and high rate band will increase by the gross PPC, you just need to check one thing. That is, actually the band increases lower of gross PPC, which is 90,000 in our question. Second is higher of 3,600 and total relevant income. And what do we have in total relevant incomes? What are the names of 3 relevant incomes? What are the names of 3 relevant incomes? Employment income. What else? Students, what else? One is employment income. What is second? Furnished holiday letting. Income from furnished holiday letting and trading income. So total of relevant incomes. In our question, the employment income is 2,03,000. We do not have this. So it means if I say higher off, so it's going to be. But since the band actually increases, lower off. So it means the basic and the higher rate band will increase by 90,000. Basic and higher rate band both will increase by 90,000. Basic rate band 37,700 plus 90. I'm having 1,27,700. High rate band 1,50,000 plus 90,000. 2,40,000. Now let's apply this on the question. So, simply working to basic rate band. Obviously, all the incomes are non-saving income. Basic rate band limit is now 1,27,700 by adding that 90,000. Applicable tax rate is 20%. If I take 20% of 1,27,700, 1,27,700 multiplied by 20% gives me 25,540. So we have utilized, we have consumed the basic rate band. Now, look at this. Since the income is 2,95,000, which is even higher than the limit of higher rate band. So it means entire higher rate band will also be utilized. If we deduct 1,27,700 from 2,40,000, I'll get 1,12,300. So the amount which actually falls, the maximum amount which actually always falls in higher rate band is having a limit of 1,12,300. The maximum amount which always falls in higher rate band is 1,12,300. So it cannot be more than this. It can be less than that. If someone is having less income but cannot exceed 1,12,000. So it means working to obviously higher rate band, non-saving. 1,12,300 into 40%. So if I take 40% of 1,12,300, if I take 40% of 1,12,300, it gives us 44,920. Now listen. From this 2,95,000, we need to deduct 240 because we have tax 2,40,000. If I deduct 240 from 2,95,000, I'll get 55. Obviously, that 55 actually falls in higher rate band. So higher rate is 55,000 into 45%. How did I get this 55? Actually, from 2,95,000, you need to deduct 240. If I deduct 240 from 295, obviously I'm getting 55. So if I take 45% of 55,000, so simply 55,000 multiplied by 45%, that gives us 24,750. Now we have applied the tax rate on 2,95,000. Now we need to check, is there any annual allowance charge? Because she wishes to make gross PPC 90,000. And we know that annual allowance limit is 40. And previously unused limit, she is having only 10,000. And we need to check one more thing. In the current year, we know that threshold income is more than 200,000. If she is also having, let's say, adjusted income more than 240, in that case, she will not be getting entire 40,000. Bands calculation. Where is the bands calculation? Look at this. Band will increase. Lower of gross PPC, higher of 3,600, and total of relevant earnings, relevant incomes. Employment income, income from furnished holiday letting and trading income. We do not have any furnished holiday letting in this question. We do not have any trading income. We have employment income, which is 2,03,000. Since the band increases lower of, so both the band will increase by 90,000. So basic rate band plus 90,000. Higher rate band limit plus 90,000. Is it clear now? Student, please, you can respond. Is it clear now? Okay. That's great. So I was saying we need to check one more thing. Look at this. This individual is having, obviously the format of the adjusted net income and the threshold income is same. Format of the adjusted net income and threshold income is same. So this in Stella is having threshold income more than 2 lakh. We just need to check the adjusted income. If adjusted income is more than 240, then she will not be getting annual allowance of 40,000 in the current tax year. So working 2, let's go for working 3, I believe. Threshold income. Again, we're just repeating this step. Net income is 2,95,000 less gross PPC is 90. So the first condition is met, that threshold is more than 2 lakh. Now quickly check adjusted income. Net income is 295 and simply add employees contribution in occupational pension plan, it is none. Add employers contribution also. Employers contribution for employee In occupational pension plans, it's nothing. In personal pension, it's nothing. But the good thing is, adjusted net income is more than 2,40,000. So it means Stella is not entitled to get the entire 40,000 limit. Stella will get less than 40. So it means annual allowance in 2023-24. It is 40 less 2,95,000 minus 240. 240 into 50%. So 2,95,000 minus 2,40,000 into 50% gives me 27,500. So if I deduct 27,500 from 40, so I'm getting 12,500. So actually, annual allowance in 23-24 is 12,500. Now we need to do one thing. We just need to add unused limit of annual allowance in the previous 3 tax year. Just we need to add, this is working 3, let's show the working 4. We just need to add unused annual allowance limit in the previous 3 tax year, if any available. Now, obviously her contribution is far more than the available annual allowance limit. So definitely annual allowance charge will arise. Let's go for annual allowance charge. Annual allowance in 2023-24, working 3, it is 12,500. Now listen, you can maximum go 3, you can maximum check unused annual allowance in the previous 3 tax year. You can maximum check unused annual allowance limit in the previous 3 tax year. If it is there, and then it will be used on FIFO basis. What I want to say, if I go 3 years back from 23-24, so that's going to be 22, 23, it will be 21, 22, and 2021. So if I go 3 years back from 23-24, it will be 22-23, 21-22, 20-21. But when it comes to utilizing the unused limit, it will be used on FIFO basis. So first, I'm going to use the unused limit which is available in this tax year. Second, I'm going to use the unused limit which is available in this tax year, and then last one. So simply add unused annual allowance. Unused annual allowance for previous 3 tax years, for previous 3 tax years, but on a FIFO basis. 2021, obviously the annual allowance limit is 40 and Stella has contributed 30, which means 10,000 is available. Second is going to be 21, 22. The limit is 40 and she has contributed 40. Same applies on 22, 23. The limit is 40 and she has contributed 40. So the maximum contribution is 22,500. Now listen, in some of the question, examiner has asked this in the requirement, that what should be the maximum contribution which will not result in annual allowance charge. In this question, if Stella, let's say if Stella changes her mind and goes for the maximum gross contribution of 22,500, then it will result in 0 annual allowance charge. So the maximum gross contribution where no annual allowance charge will arise is 22,500. Obviously, Stella is going over and above this amount, then annual allowance charge will definitely arises. So maximum gross contribution in pension scheme, maximum gross pension contribution, which will not result in annual allowance charge. That is actually 22,500. So the maximum gross pension contribution which will not result in annual allowance charge is 22,500. But obviously she wishes to contribute more than that. So annual allowance charge will arise. Annual allowance charge. Simply 90,000 minus 22,500, I'm getting 67,500. I'm getting 67,500 and applicable tax rate is 45% because basic rate band is already consumed, high rate band is already consumed. So whatever now comes, applicable tax rate will be 45% because basic and high rate band both we have already utilized, already consumed. Let's say it was, I believe, working 4 or 5, whatever it is. Annual allowance charge. 67,500 into 45%. If I take 45% of 67,500, I'm getting 67,500 multiplied by 45%. Multiplied by 45% gives me 30,375. Now simply add 25,540 plus 44,920 plus 24,750 plus 30,375. That gives me 1,25,585. That is my income tax liability, but this is not the final answer. Income tax liability. Because they have asked us to calculate income after tax and after pension contribution. Let's calculate income. After tax and pension contribution. Her gross income, net income is 2,95,000, which we have already calculated. Her gross income, net income is 2,95,000. Let us deduct income tax liability. Which is 1,25,585. And let us deduct the contribution in PPC. Contribution in personal pension. Now listen. 90,000 is the gross contribution. Obviously, Stella wishes to contribute, but it will not be 90,000 because 90 is the gross amount. Actually, Stella has paid 80% of that. So actual payment is by the Stella is 80% of this amount, which is 72,000. Because whatever you pay, that is 80%, 20% is paid by HMRC. So this is your final result. This is income after tax and pension contribution. So from 2,95,000, if I deduct 1,25,585 minus 72,000. So 2,95,000 minus 125,585 minus 72 gives me 97,415. That gives me 97,460. Now, if I just quickly give you the review of the remaining requirements, one is you just need to discuss relating to lump sum extraction from the pension funds. Number one, when someone reaches pension age, which is 55, then lump sum exempt amount is 25% lower of One is fund available, and the second is annual allowance, lifetime allowance limit, which is 1,073,100. Whichever is lower, take 25% of that as lump sum exempt. Remaining 75%, when as and when required basis, it will be extracted, and applicable tax rate is going to be 20, 40, or 45. Last point, if available funds, they are more than lifetime limit, and someone is taking that lump sum, then applicable tax rate is 55%. And if I quickly discuss the IST exemption of gift, one was a small gift exemption. When you are giving gift to one individual, one recipient, it should not exceed 250, then it is exempt. Second, when you are incurring expenditure out of your normal income, like paying, let's say, school fee, you're paying the school fee, and let's say small donation you are paying, which are not reducing actually, not the donation actually, when you're simply giving to your children, could be school fee, things like that. Or let's say in our culture, we say Eid. When you're paying on a Eid day, Eid to your relatives, that is also exempt, because when you're giving Eid on Eid day, such Eid will not actually reduce your living standard. That is also small gift exemptions. I really request every one of you after this class, just spend 5 to 10 minutes to read part B of this question. We have already covered that area also in our regular classes, but I just want you to read at least once. Still you have any confusion, any question, any queries, you can always ask in your relevant WhatsApp group. So dear students, you might have noticed that in today's class we have discussed the first thing which I discussed is what are the reasons of the failure and the passing as well. What is the recipe of passing ATX? I have discussed these are the 7 steps. You need to follow all these 7 steps. Second, we have discussed the question as well. And third, I've mentioned from coming Sunday, which is 29th of October, I believe, we are starting our test series of 13 tests. So I really request every one of you, please must attempt all the tests in a time-bound condition. And the time period of the live revision class will increase from coming Sunday. So anything else you want to ask before I end the session? I hope you should have, I would say, enjoyed today's lecture. I try to cover many things, obviously relating to the question. We have revised number of areas relating to the question. Now I'm a little bit hurry because of the namaz. So I would just say thank you very much for coming up for the class. Please, in your respective WhatsApp group, try to motivate other students that they should come in the live class. Obviously, when the more student they are going to attend the class, it motivates the teacher as well. So thank you very much. And I would say thank you very much and have a nice life, because I never say have a nice day. Day is very small. In fact, the life is very small. So I will always pray to all of my students that every one of you, those they are right now present in my class and those they are listening to this, every one of you should have a nice life, inshallah. Thank you very much.